Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is MD Saiful Islam, an assistant teacher of Ordinary School of no-8 district of Bangladesh, and you are most welcome in my Saiful English Academy again, learners. I hope that you are very fine by the grace of Almighty Allah and watched my previous classes smartly. And with the reference of my previous class, today's class I have been present in front of you, and you are not the class named rules of versus narration. Versus narration. My dear learners, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. My dear learners, in my previous class, rules of versus narration in rule number one, you were told that, my dear learners, at first, before changing narration, you'll have to share about the speaker, about the speaker about the listener and mode of sentence. Okay, then learners, three kind of activities will have to be done before changing faces narration. You are told that, my dear learners, what's a speaker? You are told that, my dear learners, and subject of reporting verb is called speaker. You are told that, my dear learners, object of reporting verb, object of reporting verb, object of reporting verb is called listener, and you have to select what category of sentence or mode of a sentence. I told that in my previous class, my dear learners. We'll have to change narration according to the direction of the sentences. My dear learners, we'll have to select sentence to see the reported space, and with the reference of my previous class, class number rule number one. My dear learners, today's class I have been present in front of you the advertisement and class rules of process narration. In this class, I'm trying to show you about rule number two. My dear learners, at the time of changing phrases narration, at first you'll have to be sure about the speaker, the listener, and type of sentence. That means the mode of sentences. And secondly, my dear learners, in rule number two, I'm trying to show you. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. If an reported space of any direct narration has served, you will have to follow the note before changing narration. Okay, my dear learners, the structured note is that, my dear learners, if an recorded space of a direct narration has served oblique madam, sir oblique madam, my dear learners, sir oblique madam. You have to use only one word here, only one word, such as respectfully, respectfully, after subject of reporting verb. Okay, my dear learners, then you'll have to change narration from direct to indirect. I may repeat this rule again, my dear learners. If any repeated space of any direct narration has sir oblique madam, you will have to follow. Sorry, you will have to follow the notch before changing narration. That means, my dear learners, sir oblique madam is equal to respectfully after subject of reporting verb at the time of changing narration. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. I'm trying to show you some example with the reference of this role, media learners. Raisha said to the teacher, comma, inverted comma, may I come in, sir? Okay, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. Example number one, I have written in the board, Raisa said to the teacher, Raisa said to the teacher, may I come in, sir? May I come in, sir? May I come in, sir? Take a look at the board and try to understand. The recorded space of this sentence has sir, word, sir. So, my dear learners, in my previous class, in roll number one, you are told at first you'll have to select speaker as listener, then mode of sentence, media learners. Take a look at the board and try to understand. And this sentence is started with may, auxiliary verb, and finally included the next of for stuff. So, media learners, we can say this sentence of this narration, of course, interrogative sentence. So, media learners, when you will be sure about any categories of sentence of interrogative, you have to follow the given structure. The structure is that, media learners. At first, you'll have to use subject of reporting verb. Secondly, you'll have to use asked. Sorry, my dear learners. Hence, this narration has a sir. So, my dear learners, instead of sir, you'll have to use respectfully after subject of reporting verb. Respect fully, then use asked instead of sexual, then object of referring verb of this narration. Then you have to use conjunction if middle of the statement deleting comma and indented comma. Then subject of reported space. Material learners, I of course first person, and according to the rules of narration, it must be changed according to subject of reporting verb. So I must be changed into she. Then verb may must be changed into might, come, change into go, extension, full stop. Okay, media learners, of the term you have understood clearly. Media learners, now I'm trying to show you example number two. Example number two. Rohim said to me, comma, inverted comma, will you give me a pen, sir? Okay, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. Speaker of this sentence is, of course, Rohim. Listener of this sentence is, of course, me. And what categories of sentence underlined? Well, of course, you know that, my dear learners, if any reported space of a narration is started with auxiliary verb, of course, and interrogative sentence. And when you will be sure about any kinds of structure sentence of interrogative sentence, instantly you have to follow the given structure given by me in my previous class according to the basic rules of narration. So, my dear learners, try to solve at first row him subject of reporting verb. Then you'll have to use respectfully instead of serve. Then asked instead of such then object, then conjunction if, then subject of reported space. You know that, my dear learners, if subject of reported space is a second person, it must be changed according to object of reporting. So you must be changed according to object me, subjective form me, of course I. Then a verb will must be changed into would, then extension give. My dear learners, try to follow the structure, try to follow the sentence me. Subjective form of me, of course, subjective form of me, of course I, of course first person, and this word must be changed according to subject of reporting verb. Reporting verb of subject, reporting verb of subject of reporting verb is roem. So that means he, and objective form of he is him. So my dear learners, you had better write here him. Okay, my dear learners, and then fun. Finally, into the notes of full stuff. Okay, my dear learners, all for that you have understood clearly. Now I'm trying to show you example number 3. Rumi said to the teacher, "Can you give me a book, madam?" Okay, maybe let's take a look at the board and try to understand. The speaker of this sentence is, of course, Roman. The listener of this sentence is, of course, the teacher. And hence, a reported piece of this narration is started with can, auxiliary verb can. So, my dear learners, we can say it's, of course, an interrogative sentence. And when you'll be sure about the recurrence of interrogative sentence, you'll have to follow the given structure. The given structure was that at first you'll have to use subject of repeating verb, then instead of madam, you'll have to use respectfully. Respectfully. Then you'll have to use asked instead of said. Then object of reported space. Here object of reported, sorry, reporting verb, the teacher. Then conjunction if. Okay, maybe you're not deleting comma, inverted comma, then change subject, the English subject, you, of course, second person, and it must be changed according to object of reporting verb. So you must be changed according to object the teacher. So in this case, you had better write she. Then can must be changed into could. Then give me must be changed into according to subject Romy. She, objective form of she, of course, her. Book. Okay, maybe let's hope that you have understood clearly. That you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now I'm trying to show you about rule number 3. Rule number 3. In rule number 3, I'm trying to show you if an reported space of a direct narration has place oblique kindly, you will have to follow the note below. At the time of changing a narration from direct direct to indirect. So, my dear, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. The note is that, my dear learners, place oblique kindly is equal to politely, politely after subject of repeating verb. Okay. Then let's you have to remind that, my dear learners, if an reporter space of an direct narration has please oblique kindly, you have to use politely after subject of repeating verb. Then you have to change the narration according to the structures of the given sentences of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now I'm trying to show you some example with the reference of this role. Example number one. Raisha said, show me, comma, inverted comma, help me, please. Okay, my learners. Of course, you know that what's the speaker, what the listener, and what kind of sentence is this, my dear learners. But I want to help something with you, my dear learners, in this case. According to my reported space of this narration is, of course, Raisha, listener, me, and hence a repeated space of this narration is started with verb and finally ended with an also full stop. Of course, an interrogative sentence. Okay, my dear learners, and when you will be sure about any category of sentence or imperative sentence, you'll have to follow the given structure. My dear learners, the structure was that at first you'll have to use subject of reporting verb, then you'll have to use politely instead of please or kindly. So write for lightly, then you'll have to use child or requested because by this sentence it's main and the request, it means the request. So you are told that, my dear learners, if an imperative sentence denotes the request, you should or you have to write request instead of set to. If you are unable to understand the sense of request, you may use told, no problem, my dear learners. Hope that you have understood clearly. Then object of reporting verb, here object of reporting verb is me, and deleting comma inverted comma will have to use to middle of the statement. Hence, this imperative sentence is started with a verb, and it was the structures of changing narration in my previous classes. Of course, you know that then a verb of repeated space helps my children take a look at the board and try to understand. Try to draw of me, subjective form of me, of course, I. My dear learners, of course, you know that I first person, and if first person subject or object of repeated space, it must change according to subject. So me change according to subject to Aisha. That means she, objective form of she is her. So you'll have to use her instead of me in this case. That you have understood clearly. My dear learners, next example, I'm trying to show you Abdullah said to Raisha, comma, inverted commas, don't disturb me kindly. Okay, my dear learners, of the try you have understood clearly. In example number two, my dear learners, you'll have to mind that here speaker of this sentence Abdullah, listener of this sentence Raisha, and hence reported space of this narration is started don't. Of course, it's an imperative sentence, and when you will be sure about any kinds of imperative sentence, you'll have to follow the given structure. The structure was that, my dear learners. At first, you'll have to use subject, then instead of kindly, you'll have to use how lightly. Then you had better write requested. If you are unable to understand the sense of request, you may use told, no problem, instead of set of referring verb. Okay, then object. Then you are told that, my dear learners, do not, never must be deleted, and middle of the statement you have to use not to, deleting comma, inverted comma. Okay, my dear learners, then you'll have to use a verb of this sentence. Here verb disturb, then change me. Of course, you know that, my dear learners, subjective form of me, of course, I, first person, it must be changed according to subject of reporting verb. Here subject Abdullah, that means he, and objective form of he is, of course, him. So you had to write your him. Hope that you have understood clearly, my dear learners. Okay, my dear learners, now I'm trying to show you rule number four. Rule number four. My dear learners, if any first narration has a good morning, oblique, good afternoon, oblique, good evening, then you will have to follow the note below. Follow the note below. My dear learners, the notice that, my dear learners, at first you'll have to use subject of reporting verb. Subject of reporting verb. My dear learners, then secondly you'll have to use waste, waste instead of set of reporting verb. Set of reporting verb. Thirdly, you have to use object of reporting verb. Reporting verb. Fourthly, you have to use given words. That means good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and finally you will have to use the notes of full stop. Hope that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, with the reference of this rule, I have written two example in the board. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. Karim said to Rohim, "Good morning." Good morning, my dear learners. Take a look at the board and try to understand. And try to solve yourselves according to the structure pattern. The structure pattern is that at first you have to use subject of reporting verb. Yet subject of reporting verb is Korean. Okay, my dear learners. Secondly, we'll have to use waste instead of set of reporting verbs. Okay, my dear learners. Thirdly, we'll have to use object. Here, object Rohim. Then we'll have to use good morning, good afternoon, good evening, etc. So, my dear learners, you had better write here good morning. And finally integrate the notes of full stop. My dear learners, second example, I'm trying to show you second example. Take a look at the board and try to distance. Raisha said to the teacher, "Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir." Take a look at the board and try to understand and try to solve yourself according to the structure pattern. At first, the subject of a reporting verb. Okay, my dear learners. In my previous video, I told that, my dear learners, sometimes it is said that sir or madam is used in the middle of any passage narration. So, my dear learners, in this case, instead of sir or madam, we'll have to use respectfully after subject of reporting verb. So, you had better write here respectfully, then waste instead of sexual, then object, here object the teacher, teacher, then given words good evening. Object you have understood clearly. Okay, my dear learners, now I'm trying to show you number five. My dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. The main precondition of rule number five is that if any passage or narration has goodbye, 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 oblique, good night, good night, good night, oblique, fared oil, fair oil, fair oil. You have to follow the note below. Now notice that, my dear learners, first you have to write a subject of free parting verb. A parting verb. Secondly, you have to use bed instead of set of reporting verb. Thirdly, you have to use object of reporting verb. Fourthly, you have to use given words that mean goodbye, good night, fair, oil, etc. And finally, you will have to use the notes of full stop. And with the reference of this rule, I have written two examples in the board. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. First example, my dear learners, Rohim said to me, "Goodbye." Okay, my dear learners, try to follow the structure pattern. At first, you'll have to use subject of reporting verb. Here, subject of reporting verb is Rohim. Secondly, we'll have to use word instead of said to or reporting verb, then object of reporting verb, here object may, then given words, here given words good, right, and finally ended with the notes of full stop. Of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, second example I have written about Raisha said to the teacher, "Good night, madam. Good night, madam." So, my dear learners, try to follow the structure. At first, you will have to use subject of reporting verb, then, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. The reported space of this narration, of course, has madam or sir. And you were told that, my dear learners, if the facing narration has sir of the madam, you have to use respectfully, respectfully after subject of reporting verb. Then, you have to use wait instead of set of repeating verb, then object. The object of repeated this here, the teacher. Then given words good night. Finally, engage with the notes of full stop. My dear learners, of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, today's class I don't want to learn then today's class, but I want to share some information with you. Of course, you know that my dear learners, I'm a new teacher or new teacher in a YouTube channels, and I'm trying to use English conversation at the time of my making various kinds of video classes. Though I'm a Bangladeshi by birth, but I'm trying to do. But so my dear learners, if you notice any faults or mistakes in the midst of my video classes, please excuse me and pray to Almighty Allah so that I can help you, I can serve you, I can cover you through my video classes throughout my life. So my dear learners, knowledge chicken so my dear learners, now much today come to say again with the new advertisement and class. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.